Hey guys, this is Karan Binani from MobiScrub and we have the Gionee Elife E7 with us today. Now, because this is one of the first full review video for this phone, I'm really excited to bringing this to you guys. So Gionee has proudly launched the E7 in India, claiming it to be the best Android camera phone out there in the market. It comes with a really powerful 16 megapixel sensor and we'll talk all about it. On paper, the Elife E7 features Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, a 2.2 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor, and a full HD 5.5-inch screen. So the display is 5.5 inches in size, and it's got a resolution of 1080 pixels by 1920 pixels. Very clear, very sharp. It's encased in a unibody shell with a glossy plastic covering. Also, no access to battery and no micro SD card slots. An inbuilt memory of 16 and 32 GB is all that you got. The device is not all that thin at 9.5 millimeters, but it's unbelievably lightweight for its gigantic screen size. And that is what makes it a little difficult to use is just using single hand. But that's the case with almost all gigantic screens that it does become a little difficult. But I guess it's completely worth the compromise of having a full screen wide view experience. The closest competitor to the E7 is the Note 3 in terms of screen size. And as you can see, the Note 3 screen size is 5.7 inches and hence the Note 3 is slightly broader than the E7. But the Note 3 is thinner than E7. So, that's a trade-off. And just to give you an idea of how big the E7 is, let's compare to the Galaxy S4. The S4 is a 5-inch screen and just looks like a miniature smartphone in terms of size when compared to the E7. Obviously, the S4 has a better single-hand operation capability. So let's talk about the software. The E7 is running Android 4.2.2 with Amigo 2.0 UI. Now, Amigo kind of makes it very different from what we've seen in almost all Android smartphones. It's got this really flat icons and there's no concept of widgets or there's no concept of application screens. Whatever you install kind of gets placed onto these home screens. The screen animations and transitions are somewhat flawless. It's a Snapdragon 800 processor with 2 GB of RAM, so you can imagine that the user experience is quite nice. A two-finger swipe down directly brings you to the settings, and you can pretty much access your radio controls directly from here. The overall color scheme and the theme is quite funky. It's youthy, it's colorful, and it's really nice to play around with. Even the weather application is quite interesting. It's got these really nice animations and sound effects depending upon what the weather outside your area is. In terms of display, this is a full HD display. So, it's really sharp, the readability is amazing, and really wide viewing angles. Even in bright sunlight, the readability is not all that bad. If you swipe down the weather widget on top, you get quick access to camera, so you can pretty much take a picture right from here if you wanted to. You get access to torch, so it kind of lights the LED at the back, and you can record any audio. So if you're in a meeting or a class, you can simply record your lecture or the meeting notes very quickly using the inbuilt application. Let's quickly look at the settings panel. Now, E7 has kind of nicely, laid out the common settings for you on the left-hand side. But if you want the regular Android settings, you can go to all settings. And then, this is the usual list of Android settings that we're all used to. There are a couple of smart gestures that you can activate. Smart dial, smart answer. So you can just pick up the call and place it next to your ear. It kind of activates it. Pause alarm. So, you can just flip and pause your alarm. Double click to wake up, and quick operating. So double click to wake is very simple. Once your screen is locked, double tap the screen and it kind of activates itself. There's a suspend button which if you enable stays on top of all screens and gives you quick access to functions like menu, home, return, and even lock your screen. There's a separate video that's a full review of the camera of Gionee E7, but just to take you quickly through this, it's a 16 megapixel sensor with LED flash, autofocus, and there's tap to focus as well. Now, it's got a really nice wide angle lens, so it covers a lot from the left to the right, even more than the Note 3s and the S4s. Quick settings on the top left, a toggle to kind of switch between the front and the rear camera. The front camera is a whopping 8 megapixel sensor. Now, the shutter speeds are not that high, but this is just a review unit, so hopefully with January release, the device is going to have faster shutter. It's capable of recording full HD videos at 30 frames per second. There's inbuilt zoom and tap to focus while you're shooting full HD videos, and you can even take pictures, still pictures, while shooting. There's also a sample video recording, so do feel free to check that out. The E7 comes preloaded with a bunch of utility apps such as the traffic assistant. It kind of tracks all the data that you've uploaded or downloaded so that you know how much you've spent. There's Power Manager that tells you things you can do to save power. And there's power consumption patterns, even whether it's terms of hardware or software, telling you what's consuming the most battery. There's also an inbuilt app which tells you which application or which process is consuming most of your memory, and you can simply shake your device to free it. In terms of customization, you can add effects to screen animation. So for example, let's try cross flip, and so you can see it's a really interesting way to change your animations. You have a bunch of themes, so 4 of them inbuilt, and you can very simply change them by applying them, and there you go. So really, you can customize your device in terms of the theme, the wallpapers, and so on and so forth. And there are quite a few more utility apps like the sound recorder, FM radio, calculator, clock, and alarm. And again, a very interesting and nice user interface. As you can see, it's got a nice, good-looking horizon, and there's a stopwatch, there's timer, world clock, and you can obviously have multiple alarms. So my final thoughts about this device is that it is expensive, but it does offer the top-of-the-line specs with a Snapdragon 800 processor and 16 megapixel camera. It is a really good device. But it does not tie in with Google services as strongly as other Android smartphones. So that's something that you really have to take a call on, whether you're okay with that or not. So thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and do not forget to subscribe.